Welcome to the BBC News at 6. Tens of thousands of jobs are at stake tonight after the collapse of two of Britain's biggest retail names, the latest victims of the looming recession. In the last hour, Woolworths and the furniture store MFI have both said they're calling in the administrators. Woolworths is one of the most famous names on the high street. It opened its first store almost a century ago and employs 30,000 people across Britain. Nick Hyam looks at the decline of two of Britain's most famous retail brands.
They're two of the biggest names in retailing. Now they're effectively going bust. Woolies launched in Britain 99 years ago this month, but until today its 800 stores were for sale for just £1. The chain came under British ownership in 1982, the poor man's department store, selling virtually everything. But it's been downhill almost ever since. Would you miss Woolworths if it wasn't there?
Yes, I think I would, because I think it's been, it's sort of an icon really, isn't it, sort of for the high street, and I think it would be a shame if it did go.
We all grew up with Woolies. In my day they used to have a deli counter. I think they sold ham and luncheon meat and liver sausage and fantastic stuff like that. Now it's just a kind of a pick and mix, a CD and a DVD.
It's a shame, it's been on the high street for so long, and to see it go would be very sad.
You can still get an astonishing range of merchandise in Woolies. I've just been in this store and I've come out with a child's toy, with some child's clothing, with a DVD of Mamma Mia, there's a colander in there, and some pick and mix. The trouble is, I can get almost all of those in my local supermarket. Trapped in high streets which have been deserted by shoppers going out of town, Woolies has been undercut by cheaper rivals like Primark. It's a similar story at MFI, once the biggest furniture retailer in Britain. Rivals like Homebase and IKEA have been stealing its business, and MFI hasn't known how to respond.
It used to stand for cheap tat, and they tried to move away from that, but people don't visit furniture stores very often, so in people's minds it still stands for cheap tat, and when they go there wanting that, it's not there. When they go there, they're just confused with what they find.
The housing slump finished MFI. Sales of kitchens and furniture plummet when people stop moving house. Now, Woolworths is in peril too. It's clear that famous names are no protection when the cold wind of recession blows. Nick Hyam, BBC News.
In a moment we'll hear from our business editor Robert Peston, but first to Emma Simpson outside one of Woolworths stores in London. Woolworths employs 30,000 people. What happens to those people and their jobs?
Sophie, things really aren't looking good tonight. We understand that the board of Woolworths is meeting now to formally approve the decision to go into administration, and Deloitte, the accountancy firm, will then effectively be the administration team taking day-to-day control of the company. And what this is likely to mean is possible closure of hundreds of stores and thousands of job losses. Woolworths was a giant of the high street, more than 800 stores, 25,000 people. Just imagine how worried they are tonight. We'll just have to wait and see what the administration team have to say, how they're going to play it. But remember, their first priority will be to the creditors who are owed hundreds of millions of pounds.
Emma, thank you very much. Now to Robert Peston. This is a hugely symbolic moment, isn't it? Will there be more to follow?
Well, look, for those of us who grew up on pick and mix, this is incredibly sad and, of course, extremely worrying, as we've heard from Emma, for 25,000 people employed in the stores, another 5,000 in their entertainment business. Thousands of those will lose their jobs. Hundreds of stores will certainly close. MFI and Woolworths were both perceived as the weaker of Britain's retailers. It isn't a great surprise that they've collapsed. They might well have collapsed even without the kind of economic slowdown, contraction, let's call it a recession, which is what many people are, that we are experiencing at the moment. But lots of other retailers are also in difficulties. I'm afraid to say that unless there's some kind of miraculous recovery in the economy, and no one's expecting that, this will probably be the first of other collapses. Government has been in contact. I'm afraid there's no prospect of a government bailout here. Because Woolworth is perceived as a lame duck, the government feels it simply can't step in.
Robert Peston, thank you very much. Unspeakable abuse, that's what the Prime